Hello and welcome to the I've Seen Everything Reaction Wrap-Up. My name's Andrew and I'm glad to have you here with me. This is where I share my thoughts, rating, and review following my most recent reaction or watch-along video. To find these reaction and watch-along videos, please visit @SeenEverything over on YouTube. Please be sure to click the follow button here on the podcast, and for those listening on Apple Podcasts, a rating and review would be greatly appreciated. And now, on to this episode's wrap-up for Hereditary.
Well, I want to start with that. I felt it was a really good movie. It's one of the better horror movies I've seen in a while. Definitely, I would say a unique concept, a unique delivery, a unique even style of shooting the film. Incorporating her kind of, I don't know if I ever really got a full concept of what her model work was. She was some kind of artist that was either working on commission or was prepping for some kind of show. So maybe she was well known for just doing these kind of crazy, hyper-realistic models, but she seemed to be doing them of her own life and her own tragic situations. The one where she was doing the kind of model mock-up of her daughter's death was crazy, and the way she acted about it. I understand this idea about artists using everything to create art, but that was, especially for what it would have meant to her son, that was pretty horrible, the way she was reacting to it. But yeah, I definitely didn't know we were going here. I kept trying to put the pieces together. You got a sense from the beginning that this was all part of an elaborate plan laid out by the mother. I was trying to remember everything it said in the obituary that it showed at the beginning. I misremembered that. I thought that I remembered it saying that the only survivor was the father, but I was trying to read quickly, so maybe I didn't get all that in. I did not see them leading up to, well, there was some kind of cult thing going on the whole time. And you got that sense that this was all leading towards some purpose, but the people that were involved didn't really know what it was. It was crazy to find out that their whole family was basically created for this purpose. That's what they meant by they wanted Charlie to be a boy. She said she gave Charlie to her mom. I assumed at first that meant she let Charlie be around her mom. There was that model of both of them feeding Charlie, or like breastfeeding Charlie. So maybe it's the fact that they needed a child to do their rituals on. And Annie didn't understand the rituals, but kind of went along with what her mom wanted her to do. Like they didn't have Peter around her, so she didn't have the opportunity to do any of that stuff. But they needed it to be a male to properly resurrect their, satanic king or whoever this is. And then we're able to transfer, able to transfer it to Peter. There's something that changes now, at least in my perception of this. And I wonder if this is the case with the rest of you too. When they reveal that the ultimate big bad of what's going on, the ultimate force behind it is somehow satanic in nature. As somebody who's a bit older who grew up during the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s, Satan was always the villain. He was always the bad guy behind everything. And the thing that they could use throughout a story to kind of elicit this terror, this, mortal terror of hell and all this kind of stuff. If this movie had come out in the 80s or 90s, the satanic thing would have been present throughout, most likely, as one of the things to create a sense of terror and menace and all this kind of fear of hell type stuff. I don't feel like we have that as much anymore. They still use it, but it tends to get thrown in at the end, it seems, or get thrown in more subtly somewhere throughout. I thought this was, this whole time was just going to be some kind of weird, or not weird, but some kind of more unknown ancient ritual kind of stuff, this kind of death cult kind of thing, completely out of the whole Judeo-Christian stuff. But I guess that works just as well when you get around to the end of it. I mean, they obviously were delving into some things here that are not necessarily common knowledge or common lore of Christianity as a religion. They didn't go very far into it. It was kind of all just thrown in a little bit there at the end. You didn't get to understand who these people were or what exactly they were about, other than raising this satanic king of theirs back to life. So I don't know if that was invented for the movie, if that actually has some basis and some kind of taboo satanic rituals that actually exist. The overall movie, I think they did a really good job of keeping the tension up throughout, keeping you guessing about what was happening. It is a very delicate balance, I feel like, in a movie like this. A tightrope to walk of not showing the audience enough versus showing them too much. Because either direction you go, you can ruin a movie. If you don't show them enough, if you keep everything too obscure, nothing means anything. I know that it was scary. I know that it was, there were these freaky parts, but like, I don't understand anything that happened. And if you over-explain, then you kind of diffuse a lot of the energy of the story, the fear and the tension and all the rest of it. I feel like they did a good job of walking that line. I feel like there were some gruesome and horrific parts. There were definitely some surprising parts. Tonally, I think it was very well done. I think all the performances were good. It was difficult to completely get a read on things, but I feel like that was kind of the point. One thing, again, that I was surprised by is that I didn't know going into this anybody who died. I had accidentally come across that scene of the mother and the thing with her neck. To be honest, as we got into this and they were seeing all these visions of things that weren't happening, I didn't know for sure if that was something that was actually going to happen or if it was just going to be this kind of nightmare vision of something he was going to wake up to see. But it was actually how she ended up dying. I didn't expect that the daughter, if she was going to die, that she was going to die that soon. I had heard something about the telephone pole or the light pole and someone dying that way, but I didn't know it was her. So that was surprising. A lot of it was surprising. I definitely was surprised when the father burst into flames. I mean, that was on purpose, though. They set you up for that. She tried to burn it before and she started to catch on fire. He didn't. He was in the room with her when she did it. He didn't start to catch on fire, at least not that we saw. And she throws it in. He immediately bursts into flames. They really did a good job of subverting expectations there. But yeah, it was not as traumatic as I expected it to be. These things do get talked up quite a bit where it's like, oh, this movie is really going to mess you up. Don't get me wrong. This was an out there horror movie and there was definitely trauma involved. Certainly the family went through quite a bit of trauma. But it was not as traumatic for the viewer as I was fearing it would be going into it. I feel like it was a well done, well balanced, a supernatural, suspenseful horror movie. And I'm sure that's exactly what they're aiming for. And I think they very easily achieved that. Very entertaining. One of the better horror movies I've seen in recent history. So I'm really trying to think of what to rate it. My initial thing is to say 5 stars. I'm trying to think if I should bump it down to 4.5. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I believe they could have done better. I really can't come up with anything. I really don't see anywhere that they attempted to do something that they kind of failed at all, or that could have been achieved more effectively. As far as a horror movie, as far as enjoying it as a horror movie, I think I'm gonna have to give it 5 stars. I don't think there's anything they could have done better to try to accomplish what they were trying to in this movie. So I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll be signing up to watch it again anytime soon. This is one of the differences I notice with certain types of horror movies. Certain horror movies, like kind of slasher movies or different kind of 80s style horror movies, some of them are more fun in nature and you'll put them on more often. They somehow seem more lighthearted, especially after you know what happens. There's some of these that are like, yeah, I watched it and I liked it. I don't think I'm going to watch it again. Unless I was showing it to somebody or something, but who knows? Anyway, what would you rate the movie? And do you think my 5-star rating is on point? Is there anything you feel this movie could have done better in what it was trying to achieve? I'd be very interested to hear about it. But other than that, thank you so much for being here with me today. Since I've been struggling to find time to record lately, I have a little bit of time. I'm going to try to keep this going. I'm going to see if I can get my next movie recorded today. So I don't know when you'll be seeing all this, but a little bit of a palate cleanser with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Hopefully. Just another reminder, you can watch this full-length reaction over on my Patreon. Everything over there is still free for the time being, at least as of the recording of this video. Full-length watch-alongs for a number of the reactions that I've done recently over there, as well as there's going to be some exclusive content over there eventually, some exclusive TV watch-alongs. So go over there and have a look. Link in the description and on the screen. If you'd be so kind, please go ahead and rate, comment, and share this episode of the podcast. Really helps me out here. And I will be back as soon as I'm able. Thank you so much, everyone, for being patient with me in this channel. Going to keep doing this. Just have to kind of hit my new stride as soon as I can here as far as how often I'll be able to. But thank you for your patience. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the I've Seen Everything reaction wrap-up. Again, to find these reaction and watch-along videos, please visit @SeenEverything over on YouTube. Please consider following the podcast, and for those on Apple Podcasts, a rating and review are always appreciated. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll meet you here on the next episode.